Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast, your weekly deep dive into the Grand Line.
This week, we're looking at chapter 128, Pirate Flag.
And let me just say, if you thought the giants were the craziest part of Little Garden, you were not ready for this chapter. We go from a prehistoric throwdown straight into an espionage thriller.
It's a sharp turn. We find out one of our crew just made a direct call to the main villain of the entire saga.
A direct call. He just picked up the phone and dialed the final boss. If you want to be as clued in as the characters in this chapter, maybe follow the signal this podcast is sending out and add it to your feed. You don't want to miss what happens next.
Let's get into it. The chapter opens far away from Little Garden on a marine ship.
With our favorite cigar-chomping justice boy, Smoker, and he is not playing around.
He's intercepted a transmission. It's scratchy, but he has one of his subordinates play it back for him and Tashigi.
And Tashigi is completely out of it. Smoker has to basically scream at her to get her to focus. She is still reeling from what happened back in Logetown.
The weight of her encounter with Zoro is still sitting heavily on her. She felt the gap in their strength, but more than that, she felt the gap in their conviction, and it's left her questioning her entire path.
Smoker has no time for it, but you can see this is a genuine crisis of faith for her.
Yeah, he's like, snap out of it, but she's just staring at her sword, this shigur. It's like she's looking at this tool of her justice and wondering if it's even pointing in the right direction anymore. Zoro didn't just beat her, he broke something in her worldview. He showed her a level of determination she hadn't accounted for.
He challenged her definition of what it means to be a swordmaster and what it means to carry a famous blade. Her entire identity is wrapped up in that pursuit, and he called it all into question without even trying. It's a profound moment for her, even if Smoker is completely unsympathetic to it.
He is the least sympathetic boss ever. He's all business. But the message they play is chilling.
Even with the static, the words that come through are crystal clear in their meaning. Princess Vivi, Straw Hat, Mr. Zero, and orders. That's the whole bingo card right there.
It's the whole ballgame. It's every single plot thread we've been following, all tangled up in one scratchy recording. And Smoker? He just hears this and his brain goes into overdrive. You can practically see the gears turning.
It's everything. It's the confirmation of a massive conspiracy, and Smoker is the first person outside the Straw Hats and Baroque works to hear it laid out. Think about that. Not even the king of Arabasta, Cobra, has this level of intel. A marine captain, hundreds of miles away, now knows more than the ruling monarch of the country in crisis.
And he's smart enough to put it together instantly. He doesn't hesitate. We've seen other Marines, right? Captain Morgan was a joke. Nezumi was a corrupt little rat. Smoker is the real deal. He has a prisoner with him, Mr. 11, and he just casually drops a line about the message, and Mr. 11 completely panics.
It's a masterclass in interrogation. He doesn't torture him. He doesn't even raise his voice. He just presents a piece of information and watches the reaction. Mr. 11 tries to play it off, saying it has nothing to do with him, and Smoker just says, I never said it did. It's such a cold, clever psychological tactic.
It's super effective. Mr. 11 completely folded. He starts sweating, stammering. He gave the whole game away with just his body language. And Smoker's eyes just narrow. He knew. In that instant, he confirmed everything. That's why Smoker is so dangerous. He's not just a Logia with a big stick. He's sharp.
He's a detective. He's an intelligence officer. He connects Vivi to the Nefertari royal family of Arabasta, connects Mr. Zero to the rumors of a hidden leader in the Grand Line, and just like that, he has a destination. He's coming. And he's not just coming. We learn in this chapter that the Marines are using Black Den Den Mushi. That means they have the ability to intercept calls without the sender or receiver knowing. This isn't an accident. This is a surveillance program.
It's a terrifying piece of world building. We've thought of the Marines as a reactive force. They see a wanted poster, they chase the pirate. This tells us they are proactive. They are listening. The world government has a secret, warrantless wiretapping program that spans the entire globe.
So they're not just strong, they're spies. They have a massive intelligence network. That's a whole different level of threat. It means that no one is ever truly safe. Any call you make, any report you send could be going straight to Marine headquarters. That changes everything.
It completely reframes what the world government is capable of. It lends a sinister, Orwellian quality to their authority. They're not just reacting to wanted posters. They're actively listening for dissent, for conspiracy, for any whisper that goes against their narrative. And now, Smoker, the one Marine who has Luffy's number, is listening in the right direction.
He's the one guy Luffy can't punch. We saw it in Logtown. Luffy was completely helpless against him. If Dragon hadn't shown up, it would have been game over. And now that guy is pointed like a missile right at the same island the crew is trying to save. That's a collision course I am not ready for.
It raises the stakes for Arabasta exponentially. It's no longer a simple conflict between a pirate crew helping a princess and a warlord's secret organization. It is now a three-body problem. The Straw Hats, Baroque Works, and the world government are all about to converge on one desert kingdom.
A race against a guy who can turn into smoke and fly. Awesome. Great. Just what they needed. The clock was already ticking for Vivi to save her country, and now there's a second clock counting down until Smoker arrives and throws the entire situation into chaos.
And while all of this is happening, this massive intelligence operation, this impending military intervention, back on Little Garden,
the crew is celebrating. Luffy, Usopp, and Vivi are dancing around the fire, singing some stupid songs so happy they beat Mr. 3 and Miss Golden Week. It's such a classic Straw Hat moment of pure, unfiltered relief. The tonal whiplash between Smoker's cold, calculating move and Luffy's goofy meat dance is just peak One Piece.
It's the calm before the storm they don't even know is brewing. They believe they're finally in the clear. They've defeated the immediate threat, saved the giants, and secured their path forward. They've won. And then Sanji just strolls out of the jungle.
Cool as you like, not a scratch on him, looking like he just stepped out of a catalog. Luffy immediately asks him if he got any food, because of course he does, that's our captain. Priorities are straight. Meat first, world saving second. But Sanji is holding something else.
He says he took a little walk, found Mr. 3's wax house hideout, and had a little chat. The way he delivers the line is so understated. He's deliberately downplaying what has to be one of the most audacious moves anyone in the crew has made so far.
A little chat. Bro, Usopp asks him who he talked to, and Sanji just drops it. Mr. Zero. The world stops.
The entire crew just freezes. Vivi looks like she's seen a ghost, and you can't blame her. Mr. Zero is this mythical, terrifying figure, the boogeyman of her life, a man so powerful and secretive that none of his own agents even know his face. And Sanji, her crewmate, the cook, just casually says he called him up for a chinwag.
Because he did the impossible. He did the one thing nobody would ever think to do. He picked up the Den Den Mushi left behind by the enemy and called the shadowy crime boss who runs half the Grand Line. That's like finding a bad guy's walkie-talkie and immediately using it to prank call his boss. Who does that?
Someone who understands strategy on a level that transcends simple combat. It's sheer audacity. He impersonated Mr. 3, concocting a believable story on the spot. He reported his own crew, including himself, as dead, and in doing so, he confirmed their next destination and got an eternal log pose that leads directly to Arabasta.
That's not just a win, that's a checkmate. That's Sanji's brain at its absolute peak. He didn't just solve their immediate navigation problem, which was a huge deal in itself. He played Crocodile like a fiddle and made him think he'd already won. He planted a seed of false information that is going to bloom into a massive strategic advantage.
This is the core of who Sanji is. We've seen him as the chivalrous cook. We've seen him as a powerful fighter with incredible kicks. But this is the first time we are seeing in full force Sanji the strategist. He's the one who operates in the shadows, who uses his intellect as his primary weapon and pulls off the moves no one sees coming. We saw a hint of it in Arlong Park when he sabotaged the gills of the fishmen underwater, but this is Mr. Prince in its earliest form. This is his origin story as the crew's secret weapon.
He completely dismantled the enemy's entire information network with one phone call. Think about it. Crocodile now operates on false intel. He thinks the Straw Hats are dead. He thinks the princess is a non-issue. He thinks Mr. 3 is still a reliable agent. That gives the crew a cloak of invisibility. They can sail to Arabasta without being hunted because their enemy thinks they're already at the bottom of the sea.
But think about what this means for Crocodile's character. It exposes his greatest weakness. He's so arrogant, so utterly convinced of his own superiority and the infallibility of his plan, that the idea of one of his targets picking up the phone to lie to his face is literally unthinkable. It doesn't compute.
He can't even conceive of it. He's a warlord of the sea. He's Mr. Zero. The peons he sends out to do his dirty work are supposed to succeed or die trying. The idea that some rookie pirate cook would have the nerve to impersonate an officer agent and feed him a line of bull is so far outside his realm of possibility that he accepts it without question. And Sanji knew that. He banked on that arrogance and it paid off perfectly. He didn't just get a log pose, he got inside the enemy's head.
It also establishes a crucial role for Sanji within the crew's dynamic. Luffy is the inspirational leader who charges forward. Zoro is the frontline powerhouse who overcomes impossible odds. Nami is the navigator who charts the course. Usopp is the sniper and tinkerer. But Sanji is the counterintelligence expert. While everyone else is focused on the visible fight, he's playing 4D chess in the background, manipulating the flow of information and setting the stage for victory before the first punch is even thrown.
And he does it all with a cigarette in his mouth and his hands in his pockets. Just absolute effortless cool. He walks out of the jungle, drops the biggest tactical nuke of the arc so far, and then acts like he just went to grab some milk. What a legend!
It's an incredible moment of tension, strategy, and character definition. But, of course, in classic One Piece fashion, it can't stay that serious for long.
Nope. Not a chance, because Sanji, in the middle of this master spy debriefing, casually mentions that the dinosaur he brought back for the party is bigger than Zoro's. And just like that, all the tension evaporates and we're right back to it.
The hunting contest, the rivalry that has been simmering for the entire arc. Zoro, who is probably just starting to feel a grudging respect for what Sanji pulled off, immediately flips his lid. His pride is wounded. He is furious, insisting his was bigger. They start bickering like children, completely undercutting the life or death tension of the moment before.
I love it so much. It's so them. It's the most realistic part of the whole show. They can be in the middle of planning a war against a government-sanctioned crime lord, and they will absolutely stop everything to argue about who's stronger or who hunted the bigger beast. It grounds them. It reminds you that for all their crazy adventures, they're still just a bunch of dysfunctional kids.
In their argument, this seemingly childish squabble has an unintended consequence. It serves as a mirror. It reminds Dory and Brogy why they started their duel in the first place.
100 years ago, a little girl from Elbath asked them which one of them had caught the bigger Sea King, and they couldn't agree. That's it. That's what started a century-long battle to the death between two of the proudest warriors in the world, an argument over whose fish was bigger.
It's a perfect parallel. It's both hilarious and profoundly sad. It shows how pride and rivalry, even over something seemingly small, can become a force of nature that defines a person's entire life. It's comical, but it's also deeply telling about the nature of honor in their culture. For a giant of Elbath to concede on even a small point of pride is to diminish their entire being.
It puts Zoro and Sanji's own rivalry into perspective, doesn't it? You see them bickering and you laugh, but then you see Dory and Brogy and you realize, oh, this is where that road leads if you let it. It's not just them being idiots, which they are. It's that same warrior's pride that the giants have. It's the fuel for their fire. It's what drives them to get stronger every single day.
And after 100 years of being consumed by that pride, their duel is finally over, thanks to the Straw Hats. By interfering, by showing them a different kind of bond, Luffy and his crew broke the cycle. They're friends again. They can laugh together again.
So we get this incredible send-off. It's one of my favorite moments in the whole arc. The crew is on the Going Merry, sailing away from Little Garden, and the two giants are standing on the shore, bandaged up, weapons in hand to see them off. It's so powerful.
It's a beautiful image. They owe the Straw Hats their lives, and perhaps more importantly, their friendship. In return, Dory and Brogy give them one final piece of advice for navigating the Grand Line, a piece of parting wisdom from two men who have lived there for a century.
Just go straight. And Vivi, being the logical one, immediately says that's impossible. The log post will just keep spinning. You can't navigate the Grand Line that way. It's suicide. But the giants are dead serious. They look them right in the eye and say their path is clear.
They tell them to trust their words over the log post. It's a test of faith. It's a symbolic gesture. They're telling the crew that the bond they forged on that island, the trust between them, is more reliable than any navigational tool. It's a lesson that goes against all the established rules of the sea.
And of course, Luffy is all in. He doesn't even hesitate for a second. He hears "trust us," and that's all he needs. He doesn't care about magnetism or currents or logic. His friends gave him directions. He tells Nami to set a course straight ahead. That's our captain. Simple, trusting, and absolutely insane.
It's a beautiful, symbolic moment of trust and camaraderie. It's the heart of the series, really, choosing faith in your friends over the cold, hard logic of the world. But there's a small, very ominous detail mentioned right as they leave, a detail that's easy to miss in the emotion of the farewell.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I was wondering when we'd get to it. My stomach dropped a little when I first realized what was happening.
Nami gets bitten by a bug, a little black and white insect with a long stinger. It's presented as a tiny, insignificant event. She just feels a prick on her arm, swats it away, and that's it. Back to the emotional send-off.
It seems like nothing. A little throwaway moment on an island full of giant, weird bugs. You're bound to get bitten by something, right? Just a bit of local color.
But in a story like this, there are no throwaway moments. When a detail like that is given its own moment, its own focus, it's never just local color. It feels like a Chekhov's gun.
You think it's important. You think it's more than just a bug bite.
I think it's a time bomb. They are leaving an island that has been isolated from the modern world for ages, an island with a unique prehistoric ecosystem. They're heading into the open sea, following impossible directions from giants, with no doctor on board, and the navigator, the single most important person for their survival at sea, has just been bitten by an unknown, potentially venomous, prehistoric insect.
Okay, when you put it like that, it sounds real bad, like catastrophically bad. They don't have a doctor. Chopper hasn't joined yet. If Nami gets sick, what can they even do? Usopp can't fix it with a new slingshot, and Luffy can't punch a fever.
This feels like the quiet start to the very next crisis. The celebration is over, the high of their victory against Baroque works, and their heartwarming farewell with the giants is already fading. The real journey to Arabasta is beginning, and it's already started with a problem they don't even know they have.
They just overcame an army of assassins and 2 giants. They probably feel invincible right now. They feel like they can take on the world.
And that's always when the Grand Line strikes back. It doesn't care how strong you are or how clever your last move was. It will find a new way to kill you. Sometimes it's a warlord, sometimes it's a marine, and sometimes it's a tiny little bug.
Man, you're right. That's a chilling thought. Let us know in the comments what you think is going to happen with that bug bite. Is it just a gag, or is Robin right that it's the start of something terrible for our favorite navigator?
I have a feeling I know the answer. So, looking ahead, what do you see happening in the next chapter? Give me your predictions.
Okay, prediction 1 for me, that giant goldfish, the island eater that Dory and Brogy were talking about, it's still out there, blocking their path. I think the giants are going to clear the way for the Mary. We're going to get an epic 2-page spread of them combining their attacks in some epic way for the first time, and they are going to absolutely wreck that monster as a final thank you gift to the crew, a final super farewell.
A final show of Elbaf's strength, proving their honor by clearing the path they promised. I like that. It would be a very fitting end to their story here. What's your second?
Prediction 2, we check in with Mr. Zero. We haven't seen Crocodile's face yet, but I think we're about to. We're going to see him in Arabasta, maybe in his casino in Rainbase, getting Sanji's fake report from the dead Mr. 3. I want to see his smug, overconfident reaction. I want to see him leaning back in his chair, a villainous smirk on his face, completely assured of his victory, all while we, the audience, know he's completely and utterly wrong.
Setting him up for a fall, a classic dramatic irony. Okay, my turn. My first prediction is that Nami's bug bite becomes a major problem immediately. Not in a few chapters, but in the very next one. She's going to have a fever, she might start hallucinating, she might even collapse at the helm, leaving the ship without a navigator in a treacherous sea. This isn't a slow burn, it's an acute, life-threatening crisis that will define the next leg of their journey.
Oh, that's dark. No time to celebrate, just straight into the next disaster. I can see it. That's how the Grand Line works. What's your second one?
My second prediction is we will get an external shot of Smoker's ship. We're not just going to leave him as a background threat. I think the story will want to establish the chase visually. We'll see a shot of his marine battleship, smokestacks billowing, full steam ahead, cutting through the waves with ruthless efficiency. The chapter will end by establishing that the race is officially on, and he is closing the distance faster than the Straw Hats could possibly think.
A three-way race to Arabasta. The crew racing to save a kingdom, the clock for Vivi with the rebellion about to explode, and now Smoker on their heels, representing the full force of the world government. That's a perfect storm.
The calm after Little Garden is already over. The sea is never peaceful for long.
And the next storm is about to hit. We'll be here next week to see what it brings and to find out if Nami's going to be okay. I'm worried now.
We all are. See you then.